why are we talking about Microsoft Fabric, though? This is a brand new data platform out there. Why the heck does it matter? Well, frankly, it's because Microsoft Fabric is the first comprehensive data and analytics platform that's going to address all of your data and analytics needs that you have in the cloud. Fabric is where you're going to be able to do this. In fact, look at this little GIF I just found while it's putting together this presentation. Forrester's TEI study said a 379 return on investment. So that is massive, 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 massive. This is the future of data platforms. You really have to be in and working on it. And we're going to talk more about all of this stuff. But like this is strategically where companies are going to be going. If they are not there today, they will be there tomorrow. I can virtually guarantee it. All right. Now, who the heck am I? Some of you may know me. Some of you may not. Hey, could you take off that little banner bar on the bottom of this? That Kratos BI. I mean, love the self-promotion, but you take that off if you're paying attention, or if you can't. There you go. I'm a director of data solutions at Baker Tilly, so I help companies like you actually implement Microsoft Fabric. We're actually Fabric featured partners. We're helping companies see these amazing results. I also run a YouTube channel over like my own YouTube channel, so make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And you can find me on LinkedIn, and you know all the things. But this is the big thing now. I'm talking about best day ever. Like, we are so blessed that we get to work with these amazing tools, with these amazing capabilities, and every day just keeps getting better and better and better. I just want to get that out there. All right. Now, I got to say, I've got a vision here. I want to share this with you. This is the first time my vision for how and why I do this stuff is being published out there. And the reality is I want to be that leading source in education solutions because, and this is my mission comes underneath it, is I want not just myself, but everyone that I interact with to have the best solutions out there that help you shape, evolve, and answer business questions, right? And I know that, while you're sitting at your computer and I'm sitting at mine, we as a community want to help evolve and grow together. And so I'm dedicating my life to this professionally, and hopefully you'll join me on this journey. All right, let's get into it. Now, all right, I literally know all of these things in this presentation. I could talk at length about any of them. So I'm not here for me. I'm here for you. So if you have questions, please leave those questions inside of the chat so that we can actually get into it. Preface it with a Q so we can see that stuff. But ask a question over on LinkedIn. Just go ahead, ask anything. I'm happy to jump into it and answer that question because I want you to get something out of this. Okay. All right, let's break it down. DJ, break it down. All right. The way I think of Microsoft Fabric, because it is a comprehensive data platform, it's really going to address three key personas. Number one, that's data engineering. This is, like, what are we talking about when we say data engineering? We're talking about how do you build and manage the flow of data into and out of your system. All right. So you're managing data, you're working with bringing it in, doing your transformations, and then sending it out. And that could be sending it out to others. It could be sharing. It could be presenting, whatever it is, right? Like, that's your data engineering capabilities. Data analytics. Now, for many of you, like, you're very familiar with this. This is your Power BI space, right? So where people are consuming and using reports, and frankly, that's your bread and butter space, because that's the layer executives who sign off on paychecks and budgets and bonuses and raises and promotions. They only touch the Power BI level, right? So make sure when you're doing this stuff, you spend a good amount of time on that Power BI at that consumption layer, even though you have all sorts of other work around the data engineering that needs to be done, right? But don't forget data analytics, right? And then the last one, which has been the biggest thing out there, like, hey, for like, gosh, 5, 10 years, data science has been a big thing. Microsoft Fabric offers a complete data science platform for you to work and operate, and we'll kind of get into more of that stuff. But these are the main categories that Fabric operates in. And in each of these spaces, it offers a very sophisticated and rich environment to work in, right? So when we talk about data engineering, these are like 5 of the biggest things that you're going to be putting on your hard hat and you're going to be getting down and doing the work on, okay? So number one, and probably the most classic thing that people are accustomed to, is that concept of a data warehouse, right? So that single place where you're bringing all your data together from all the various systems inside your organizations. You're putting schemas together, you're putting models in place, all the good stuff, right? Classically, that's one of the big components that you have inside of Fabric, okay? Next to that, one of the big things that we've been recently like really evolving to and doing more with, it's the concept of a lake house. And I hear you say to yourself, but Chris, what the heck is a lake house? And that, great question, right? Great question. Well, when the whole big data thing started to come about, and I don't know if you remember it, but I can remember sitting in a meeting and having a director ask me like, well, what's your experience with big data? And me thinking, big tables, big files. What? I mean, yes, I work with big data. But when big data came out, it really transformed how people could work with data, because they could just dump data out into these Hadoop systems and just be able to run and gain insight. So that worked really good for a little while. But one of the big challenges came out of the the data lake is that lake quickly became a swamp, and like it was just a dumping ground. There wasn't consistency in data. It was this big challenge to interact with, right? That's where Lakehouses came in. So Lakehouses bring together the best things from your data warehouse, be it your structure, your schema, data consistency, ACID compliance, that type of a thing. And the ability to have non-standard data types or that mishmash portion of your solution all in one place, all in one area, is what became the Lakehouse. And so this is a much more modern, quote unquote, modern version of your data warehouse that allows for that strict compliance stuff, but also that like crazy, like video files or images or long form text or audio files, whatever it happens to be, right? So that's your Lakehouse. Fabric is amazing at both of these things. And we're in our demo, we'll actually show you all of these various components, okay? Most of them. All right. Next thing is our pipeline. And just like in plumbing in your house, you've got, your data pipelines are how and where your data goes from point A to point B. And managing that at scale in the cloud can be a real challenge. Microsoft Fabric makes that super easy and very performant. It's wonderful. Now, a big thing that we've recently started in the last 5-10 years is the adoption of notebooks. People are really starting to love these cloud-based notebooking tools. Like you might have seen or used Databricks in the past. Notebooks are a great way for like keeping your code together, keeping documentation together, just making it all very relevant inside of the flow of information. Fabric has this incredible notebook experience. So like even the people who are just coming out of college and right out of business school are starting to interact and build out notebooks. Fabric makes it super easy for you to get it in and start to use this as well. And then the last kind of thing I'll touch on in here, and we'll hit on this more in another section, is the concept of shortcutting. So if you've worked in any data for a period of time, one of the biggest challenges you come into is the whole concept of copying data, right? Like, okay, load my data into my warehouse and okay, I've got it there. But you know what? I've got these other teams that have created these data marts that they're building and managing because they're going to bring in some data, they're going to mash it up, and they don't want it, you know, or I don't want it as part of the central data warehouse. I don't want their garbage data to get in my pristine, pure warehouse or lake house. I'm going to let them do that on their own. Well, the challenge was you'd always have to copy data from my central places into those other places. And then you got into this problem of like data management. It's like, okay, wait till it gets loaded into the central place, then load it into the other, or even the horrible side, vice versa. Like, okay, something's being managed at that lower layer, but you want to make it available to the enterprise? It was this horrible thing. Shortcuts allow you to do is, okay, I've managed it, I've defined it inside the data warehouse. I can shortcut it into that data mart or those other domains, can leverage that exact same table, that exact same file without having to duplicate that data someplace else. That saves a boatload of time and money when it comes to your total overall cloud compute and costs. And it just really makes things much more efficient for you so that you can manage your data one time. You don't have to worry about copying the stuff or running all these other processes. Okay. So these are 5 key things that data engineering does, and data engineering in Fabric more specifically offers you as part of the solution. Next piece, though, let's talk about data analytics. Now, this is the Power BI solution, and this is the #1 Gartner-rated business intelligence platform out there. Just crushing the I mean, I know Tableau is still out there, but I'm sorry, Tableau. I loved you at one point in time. You were fantastic, but Power BI has got you, and it looks like I'm sorry about your layoffs and all that good stuff, but Tableau's got a challenging future in front of it with Power BI there. But on the analytics side, you've got great dashboards that you can build out, manage, share information with. You've got these amazing semantic models. And so if you're not familiar with what a semantic model is, that semantic model brings together all of the objects that were in your data warehouse or lakehouse, joins them together, creates measures on top of them, and actually goes in and makes it available for people to share and build analytics on top of. So you can manage one semantic model and then have all of your reports inside your organization hitting that one semantic model. Again, just like we said with the warehouse and shortcuts, the semantic model means you define that stuff in one place and you don't have to manage it in all of these other places. And then your reports and analytics just hit it, and then you start to get to that true one source of truth of information, so that when I pull up my sales report and I can see that sales was, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, and Mirko pulls up his sales reports, his shows exactly 1, 2, 3 as well, and there's no discrepancies, right? That all comes through managing data integration, keeping that up and running. That's your Power Query, that's your low code solution. That's also your Data Flows Gen 2, which really starts to transform yourself away from that low code solution into more of a pro code solution and start to put on the data engineering like hard hats and start to like become that citizen data engineer, right? All of that really boils down to allowing you as an individual to do some really impressive data analysis and uncover big challenges or issues inside your organization, and do so without having to have this like massive, deep technical background, right? Like you can enable people to leverage Power BI and semantic models, and it's just a draggy droppy type thing where you can go to and you can access this stuff and just generally make it available to them so that they can dig into the information. I'll tell you, one of my favorite stories about this is I created a semantic model. I had people using them. I had a guy who was like looking into something that was going on inside of his business. And I didn't know this. It was on a Saturday. He sat down and it was a rainy Saturday. He had some free time and he knew there was something wrong inside of his business. So he started to like drag and drop and look into things. And he uncovered that all they had to do is make one small policy change and they could transform their business from unprofitable to profitable overnight. The area he was in was federally regulated to exist, had been around for like 20 years or something like that. And they hadn't they've been running at a loss for like 10, 15 years. He found this one thing through doing some data analysis. One thing made one policy change. They became profitable overnight. So it's fantastic when it comes to working there. And that all dovetails right into the last bullet point, which is that amazing ways that you can collaborate and share your information through Power BI. Because there's the Power BI cloud service, and that's awesome for people to go in and use information. But there's also Power BI Mobile, and there's integration with PowerPoint and integration with Excel, and heck, you can even just use XML endpoints to integrate with, or how about Semantic Link, which is just an API that allows, anyone to come in and consume your information. Just super powerful, lots of capabilities here, right? And do keep those questions coming. I could see Gurprasad and Rohit. I see your questions are coming in, and Hermat, let's see, and Noor. We will get all these questions, Hermat. We'll get all these questions at the end in the Q&A section. So please keep those questions coming. We've got those starred. It's on the back end. You're not going to be able to see it on your side. We've got a great host here. He's keeping that stuff going. So we're going to circle back on all of these because I think some of them we'll answer in the presentation. Others we won't. So just keep that conversation going. Okay.